Good morning, and welcome to Salesforce Live. Today is day number 2 of an amazing Dreamforce. We are so honored to be here on stage and follow what was an amazing presentation from Hillary Clinton. And we have a great presentation on the transformation of healthcare and how Salesforce and our partner Philips are really transforming healthcare. And so before we get into our amazing panel, what I wanted to do is show a quick video on Philips. So go ahead and roll that video.
Well, I think the role of CIO
do that after.
is in the middle of a huge change. And now we're connecting. We're connecting our devices, we're connecting our customers, and suddenly the playground has dramatically expanded, and the impact you potentially have is so much bigger than it was before. Our ambition is to be entirely driven by the needs of our customers. We believe that the way we're going to sell is not by selling something directly to you, it's by first engaging you. So basically we're going back to that one-on-one relationship where people knew you, but now we're doing it on a scale of 100 million. And that's where I believe the big opportunity is. Speed is the new currency for business. You gotta move fast, and you gotta be bold. Time to get innovation to market is everything. And especially in a world where, the winners tend to take more and more. The Salesforce environment is really easy to develop. We have many examples where we build stuff that would have taken months or sometimes years that we put together in days. Tapping into that means changing the way you run your company, changing the way you do sales, changing the way you do marketing. So we immediately look at it from the perspective of, in this case, marketing cloud, sales cloud, and service cloud. People start creating applications, they start creating solutions that will leverage our connected lamps, our connected home cookers, our connected toothbrush. Basically, we don't see it as a toothbrush anymore. We see it as part of an ecosystem that may include helping people to have a much healthier lifestyle. If you look at light today, it's digital. You can completely control that light. You can have 60 million colors. You can illuminate the Bay Bridge here in San Francisco. So Salesforce is very much into the core of our value chain. Every MRI, every X-ray machines we have out there is connected. So we collect a lot of information about how these devices are being used. So we can have an MRI giving us an early warning sign initiated by a message from the MRI into our service center, which is powered by the service cloud. And then through chatter, we can engage with the hospital. So if you can watch screens together, talk to each other, and ultimately also look at each other while you're talking, is really for us the next stage of how to run a company. As an organization, you always need to be one step ahead. And you can only do that by being very close to what your customers need and constantly exploring how you can take that to the next level. We've set up a digital accelerator lab, and Salesforce is actually a partner in that. Now we're pushing each other, that's the whole idea, and that's why we have not just people from Salesforce there, we have our design folks, we have R&D, we come to great new ideas. Things that you would never be able to do on your own. So you get people to move by painting with a very compelling vision. We can come back and articulate a solution that our customers haven't thought of yet. If we can work with people like Salesforce, we can actually do this, and we can do it fast, and every day we're getting a little bit closer to where we want to be.
Great, what an amazing video that was, and what a great story about how Philips is really transforming healthcare. So my name is Jim Sinai, and I am a leader on the platform product marketing team at the Salesforce platform, Salesforce One platform. And one of the great things about the platform is the stories that we see about how companies are reinventing different industries with our technology. And we're here joined with an amazing panel, and I want to go ahead and introduce the panel. And first is Jeroen Tas, who's the CEO of Healthcare Informatics. Welcome.
Thank you.
We'll get to you in a second, but I want to talk with, I want to introduce the rest of the panel. Lucien Engelen from Radboud University. Radboud University. And for those that don't know Radboud University, they're really the UCSF of the Netherlands, of Europe, and they're really pushing forward research and education and the whole transformation of medicine in Europe. And so thank you so much for joining us at Salesforce Live.
Thank you for having us.
And of course, one of our longtime stars, Frank van Veenendaal, Executive Vice Chairman of Salesforce. And Frank, you're been a huge contributor to Salesforce, a huge leader at Salesforce. You've helped this partnership come out of, grow from nothing, or from a conversation, I should say. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
And then, of course, Dan Darcy, who's our Senior Vice President of User Experience. You know, Dan's done so much here, from helping drive our amazing keynotes, but now he's really leading a team focused on how design is transforming how users interact with apps. So welcome, Dan.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So I wanted to start with you, Jeroen. A lot of people have heard us at Salesforce talk about Philips, but Philips is undergoing a radical transformation. So maybe you could talk about what that transformation is and what it means for Philips and your customers.
Yeah. Well, let me start. When I rejoined Philips 3.5 years ago, and I remember my first meeting with the board, and I basically said, Philips is becoming a software company. And they all looked at me and like, what is he talking about? And then I went on to explain what software is doing to the world, and specifically what it will do to what we're doing with our customers. And I gave the example of Salesforce and how we work with Salesforce to get much closer to our customers. But I said the next big leap is not our customers, but their customers. And the next big leap for us is people with chronic conditions, you know, mothers who get their first child and want to raise it, just like Hillary Clinton was talking about, in a healthy way. And we said, we got to change our company to start connecting those dots. And then we just looked at, you know, taking mother and child as a theme, because we were talking about that this morning. We found there are 18 business units that contribute to that experience. From, you know, the first time a mother sees her baby is actually on an ultrasound, of a Philips ultrasound. During pregnancy, we can monitor the baby. We have fetal monitors, but we have also baby bottles. We have monitors for baby monitors at home, breastfeeding devices, but we never connected those dots. We never, you know, put ourselves in the shoes of a mother and look throughout this whole journey and how we connect that journey and can help a mother raise her baby in a healthy way. And I think that was a big insight that we started applying to everything we do. You know, if people have a heart disease, they have to watch how they eat, they have to watch how they move, they gotta watch their heart.
Yeah.
So we started creating these journeys around people with a heart disease, people with COPD, people with diabetes, and we started connecting the dots from the consumer into the professional care. And I think that was kind of the birth of the transformation of the company, from a company that sells discrete products to a company that creates great user experiences.
Well, I think that's such a applicable introduction to our next, to the next conversation. Lucien, you are responsible for innovation and transformation at a huge medical facility. What do you look at your role when you see this explosion of devices and explosion of new technologies coming in? How do you make sense of all this and say, we have an opportunity to do something new in healthcare?
Well, one of the things that we see at present is that the change that Jeroen is talking about within his own company is exactly the same that's happening within healthcare. There's huge data explosions at one end, there's huge opportunities as well, and we've got this big burden looking into healthcare that we are facing double healthcare demand, declining budgets, and shortage of skilled personnel. So we have to come up with smart solutions for that. And basically the same thing that happened in all kinds of other branches like travel industry and banking, for instance, where the consumers took the lead in terms of changing that specific branch, we expect that exactly the same will happen within healthcare. So that's the reason why we've ignited this innovation center at Radboud at the end of 2010. And that's basically on the convergence of technology at one end, and for us very important, patient empowerment at the other side. And this is where all these partnerships together with, for instance, Philips and Salesforce.com just come in, empowering us as healthcare professionals to actually empower our patients again.
And you guys even have a partnership with Apple as well in their new health product.
Yeah, together with Cambridge University, we were the only two university medical centers outside of the US to collaborate on Apple's healthcare, and we're in the keynote. So that's a great thing to do as well.
Great. So I want to bring in, Frank and Dan. Guys, we've seen this transformation in technology, and these companies and these customers of Salesforce that are looking, when we talk about customers, we're actually talking about their customers, not our customers. And so what's the opportunity? How did this conversation with Philips start? Maybe Frank, you can talk about that.
Sure, I'd love to. I think I look back in 1999 when Mark looked at computing and how that could be disrupted and improved with cloud computing. We're at that same point where the convergence of technology and the needs of the population to have a better alternative for how to manage healthcare is this transformation of really engaging with the customer, leveraging wearables, and Salesforce is a great platform in partnership with Philips to deliver on that. Philips has very deep expertise in the clinical area, long-term relationships with providers in the health space, and we're looking to leverage our disruptive, great platform for a very agile development, particularly focused in the engagement. Because as Jeroen was saying, these chronic diseases are not just about how you treat them, how do you change people's behaviors, how do you collaborate across the different providers and physicians. And so in partnership, I think we take the breast of Philips and their expertise and leadership in healthcare, and Salesforce with our #1 cloud computing platform, the Internet of Customers, and bring that together to really transform healthcare into being focused on health and outcomes, not on procedures.
Great. And
well, Jeroen said it best when we were actually talking earlier. He said earlier that every company is becoming a software company, and every company becoming an app company, the most #1 thing about that is design and user experiences around that. And so when we see companies like Philips really taking advantage of the Salesforce technology platform and our layer of engagement with their best platform, it's really the best of both worlds. And it's kind of more and more important for patients to take care of their own health as well. And so that's why when Philips is able to provide an amazing user experience for the patients out there to take care of their health, it's mission critical for everyone.
And I think that's the crux of what you're doing at Radboud, which is how do you actually, instead of putting the burden of care on the doctors, put the burden of care on the patient themselves. And so you spoke yesterday about chronic diseases. Yep. And you said an astronomical number of people have chronic diseases.
Yeah.
What's the vision that you two together have for how patients take care of their themselves?
Yeah. Well, first our vision is to enable people to take care of themselves. So to leverage the technology to allow them to track how they feel, what their vital signs tell them, to engage with caregivers in a much more open and structured way. And for instance, I'm wearing this little patch, and this patch is tracking my vital signs. And actually, in this case, Lucien is tracking me, so he's the provider, and he can actually track how I'm doing. Lucien knows about me because he has my record.
Lucien has an eye on you.
Pardon?
We're keeping an eye on you.
Okay. So he has my record, but he also has a bunch of colleagues that can collaborate. So typically, if we look at a care team, we're looking, of course, at nurses, intensivists, but we also look at people with behavioral science background, because it's really, really important that we motivate people to take their medicine on time, because more than half of the people just don't take their medicine on time.
Right?
Yeah, they're not compliant. And we got to motivate them to eat well, we got to motivate them to move around, have their 30 minutes of activity every day, and we got to motivate the people around them to motivate them. So we want to engage also the friends and family. We believe the social aspects of healthcare have been underemphasized, and we got to bring back that social responsibility that you have for your friends and family, which we can now enable through technology. So maybe Lucien, you can explain a little bit more what you're doing at Radboud.
Yes, completely agree with that perspective. The thing is that not only the patient themselves have some problems with people with this disease, looking for people with chronic disease, also the family has a huge burden on that. And if you're able to leverage that with technology and also the social component of it to create some kind of a community around the patient that is being able to, like peer pressure, to take their meds, for instance, and also to keep an eye on them, I think that's really an awesome technology for that. So together with Philips and your platform from Salesforce.com, we now are able to leverage the level of interaction between the patient and their family, but also the patient and their professionals within the healthcare institutions, which, by the way, are not alone hospitals. Just let's face GPs and face physiotherapists, for instance. They are in the blind in terms of having the data of the patient. So the GP has his own data, the physiotherapist has his own data, and the hospital does the same. So with this technology and platform, we're able to create an environment where the patient themselves can share that data with his other healthcare takers. And that's one of the things that is completely normal in banking, for instance, but it's not. It's completely abnormal still within healthcare.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that we're looking very much forward.
So one of the and this is a challenge with healthcare, which is that there's a lot of sensitivity around the data of the patient data, and how does your university think about who owns that data, who should have access to it, how it's used, and really doing it in a way that respects the privacy of the patient, but also allows this community to support them?
Well, thank you for that question, because that's one of the biggest challenges for us, obviously. So when we were stepped into this arena, we thought there should be a great partner that is in that arena for decades already, which is Philips, obviously, connected to all kinds of hospitals and all other healthcare institutions, and also harnessing that data from a security and robust level that is also available to upscale it, maybe even worldwide, so to speak. Because there is no way that we as a university medical hospital could run that in our own premises. It's possible, but once you get to upscale this, and let's face it, healthcare is globalizing at present, you should act on that with great partners. There's a reason why Google and Apple and also Facebook steps into healthcare, into health. And that also creates an explosion of data on all kinds of places that is scattered. So we really do think that our vision and ambition is to create an environment where the patient owns his own data and is able to share it, not execute on it, but to share on it with everyone he thinks that is needed for that. Adding to all the other data transmissions that are used to run already between healthcare institutions. So it's not or, it's and for that.
Great.
Yeah, I would like to add to the big opportunity we have with data. And it's not just data in silos, it's also, if you start looking at, for instance, you take a prostate cancer patient. What you need is a biopsy. We do now digital pathology, so we take a skin sample or a tissue sample and scan that, but that will create 500 gig image, just one scan. But for cancer treatment, it's also very important that we know the genome sequence.
Yeah.
So that can go up to a terabyte.
Yeah.
We have images. So let's say we did an MRI. It's a 3D model of the organ with quantification, so we can see the growth of the cancer. Now, if you start combining that information with information how the patient feels, their monitoring data from the patch, and you start adding that up with the medical record, now you're talking huge amounts of data. So we're looking at how can we deal with it, how we can secure it, but also how can we make that data actionable. Because maybe you have prostate cancer and you have a knee injury, you got to abstract from a lot of the data and you got to enable the data to become information, to become actionable. Actionable for the patient, I need to do this now, I need to take this medication, but also actionable to the care team and actionable to the clinician.
Yeah.
And that's I think, a tremendous opportunity we have now to bring that data, to integrate it, make it real time, but also make it actionable so that we can help people deal with their health, but we can also help clinicians make the right decisions when needed.
Yeah, and so data, Frank, I was going to turn to you because data is such a huge focus for Salesforce right now.
Yes.
You want to talk about how we're thinking about that investment? Obviously, the cat's out of the bag with the
wave. Yes. I mean, I think it's all about making things actionable on the data and rendering that in a user-friendly way is just an extension of what we're doing. And I'm just so excited about bringing that, to bear in addition to all the things our platform already has. Because what wasn't mentioned today is that, from the time we started on our hospital-to-home venture together, their first two products were FDA approved and in the market in less than a year.
Less than a year, wow.
If we're going to transform healthcare, you can't do it in a decade. You need to move quickly. And when it comes to wearables, when it comes to data, when it comes to engagement and collaboration, it's about leveraging the platform to getting these capabilities to market, working in partnership, and really transforming healthcare. And that's really the opportunity that I think is so exciting for all of us.
Yeah, I want to say actually it took us as much time to build the platform as it took to get it approved by the FDA.
That's amazing.
So we had a tremendous team working on this, and we had patients testing it, we had clinicians working on it, and we actually did it, we built it in 6 months, which was a tremendous experience.
And that goes back to your stated philosophy, which is speed is the new currency of business.
Exactly, we believe that we have this opportunity to make a real big impact on healthcare, on the health of people that we all love, because I think everybody has their own story. I have my daughter, my dad, I myself have hypertension and I want to be in control, but everybody is like that. Everybody has a story, and we want to help make the story a positive story and help them get back their control of their health and live life with dignity.
Yeah, and so Dan, you've been a huge contributor to our new analytics cloud. Design, it was almost built design first,
yep.
Which is almost anachronistic when you think of building a business intelligence tool. How did you guys think about, the use cases that we haven't even thought about, like how doctors would use this product?
Yeah, so actually with the Wave Analytics Cloud, we have Blue Shield, Blue Cross also using that, where they're able to take all this. We were talking about data earlier, and it's an interesting thing because we have data sources coming from everywhere. And one of the things that I actually want to kind of take a step back to go back to Philips and Radboud University is that what I loved about what Philips was able to produce with their eCare Coordinator, eCare Companion apps was the ability to give that one-to-one relationship. Because of the data that's coming in from all of these different sources, what Philips was able to do was, based on an algorithm, surface the right patients at the right time to the clinicians in the healthcare team to actually take care of these patients first. And that's one of those things where those patients then obviously gave them an incentive to put more of their data into their eCare companion app so that the clinicians at the home, the healthcare team, were able to serve them right away. And so those types of one-to-one user experiences are amazing. And so going back to your Wave Analytics Cloud example, we realized that analyzing data isn't sexy, right? And we wanted to make it so easy and so simple that we can democratize that process and make analytics for the rest of us. And so anyone, you don't have to go to this one guy that's who pulls out an Excel spreadsheet and analyzes all this data. Any one of us could fire up a dashboard or a lens to explore all the different data components that are coming in and take a look at specifically even patients at the speed of thought.
Yeah.
So
I look at a product like Mint.com and how it's transformed how I manage my finances and track my spending and budgets. And there's that same opportunity for your own healthcare to have all your information. And I think the other thing that's really, we alluded to it earlier when you showed us your Superman patch, but the power of the wearable device. And I think we're just at the beginning here, and I'd love to hear how you guys, Philips, you've been in devices forever, but now people are wearing these.
Yeah.
Where are you thinking about taking the wearable device?
Well, I think it's interesting to know that every year we monitor 390 million patients
Wow.
in intensive care units. So we build up a lot of understanding of what the data means. So for instance, we can monitor 6-7 vital signs simultaneously, and actually we can see a heart attack coming 6 hours in advance.
Wow.
So if you see that deteriorating, you can take action. You can take medication, and you can avoid a heart attack. So now we take a lot of those algorithms that we developed and we started applying to these really low-cost sensors that people can wear on their body.
Yeah.
So I think it will allow us to better monitor people wherever they are, even if they have a condition. You know, we have with Banner Health in Arizona, we have 80-year-old people with multiple chronic diseases that can go outside, live a normal life. Otherwise, these people would be in the hospital. They would be separated from each other. We have this lovely couple that can now live together at home, and otherwise they would be separated. One of them would be in the hospital.
Yeah.
Now they live a normal life. And we can only do that because we monitor them, and we have a fall detection monitor on them as well. So if they go outside and they happen to fall, immediately we can talk to them and triage help. So these people start living dignified lives again.
Lucien, we were talking earlier about the other major revolution that's happening right now, which is the community revolution. And Salesforce this year launched the Community Cloud, which is all about helping any business create their own community, whether it's with their customers or their patients or even with their employees. And the use case that you talked about was how you're helping doctors help each other. And can you talk about some of the work that you've done at Radboud?
Yeah, one of my colleagues is Professor Bas Bloem with his colleague Martin Munneke created what we've called Parkinson's Net, which is a online community network, but also offline for all specialists surrounding Parkinson's disease.
Yeah.
Started in Nijmegen and rolled through the rest of the Netherlands. And 5 weeks ago, we've announced a partnership with Kaiser Permanente specifically on that.
Kaiser's one of the great health technology leaders here in the US.
So we're collaborating with them to assist them to create the same environment within Southern California at first, and hopefully enroll this nationwide. The thing is that the online community aspect of it not only brings the empowerment to patients, just as I talked about, but also to professionals. Because if you as a physician see 1 or 2 Parkinson's patients a year, for instance, you can imagine that if you see 30 or 50 of them, your expertise would raise. But that would mean that you have to make choices on that one.
Yeah.
So from this community aspect, we teach physicians and teach specialists, physiotherapists to have their expertise and to choose to do other diseases, not as much as that they have been doing, for instance. So you raise the level in that one. I would like to add one perspective to the discussion, that is from the analytics perspective. What happens if patients are able to understand these kind of trends analysis?
Yeah.
We expect patients more and more to take self-care into an account. Yeah. But how in the world will they be able to if we do not present the data to them?
Yeah.
So the one thing is that we have spot measurements within our clinics with a blood pressure meter or a weighing scale. So now together with Philips and Salesforce.com, we're pushing the needle outwards to create a continuously level of data stream that they are able to not only look into themselves, together with their family and informal care, but also send that into the hospitals. But the amount of healthcare is only able if you've been presented with the data that it's all about you.
Yeah, the one thing that always strikes me too is that we could have all the data in the world, and this gets back to I think the genius of the app that Philips built is that one of the core functions is a survey function, which is how are you feeling?
Yep.
Because it doesn't matter if the data says that your blood pressure's up or down. If you're feeling fine, that's a key barometer for any physician. And Dan, when you think about experience and creating, like, where does gamification fit into that? Into this whole transforming healthcare?
Yeah, absolutely. So you do want to create sort of a gamification to really get the patients to input their data. And I think you said it best too around with communities. When you have a micro community of folks that are just like-minded, that like your family and your care physician and your doctor that see people are taking care of you, there could be that element of gamification to actually input that data and produce the results right back to you so that you can take care of your own health. And I mean, I'm excited for the future of healthcare when we're talking about this whole world of connected devices as well, because everything is connected and all of that data being presented back to you will honestly gamify me to actually get better with my own health.
Great.
I think, Jim, the beauty is that historically I would go to a doctor once a year, get some tests done, get a 5-minute conversation, maybe 10-minute conversation, I'm off for another year. Now there's a whole transformation of getting the data, the wearables, and the engagement that I actually can be thinking about my health ongoingly rather than as a once-a-year activity. We can really transform how people are taking care of their health, being responsible, and this partnership is really kind of the driver for it.
Yeah, we call that continuous health. I think that's a huge new concept, rather than event-driven, continuous health, and that will make a big difference.
Yeah. Great, thanks gentlemen so much. And this is, this conversation about transforming healthcare and this partnership with Philips and Salesforce is really just the beginning, and we can't wait to have you back here next year at Dreamforce and throughout the year and see what other innovations you bring. So a big thanks to the whole panel.
Thank you.
Thank you.